All right, so I'm down here working on the airplane. I got Emilio back there washing the wheel parts so we can get the bearings changed out and the new tires on, the new tubes and all that good stuff. But I told you about that oil leak that I have inside of the engine. So let me show you what I've got going on with that. All right, so there's the back of the, back a little bit, there's the engine. Here's the back of the engine. You see the oil leak? Yeah, of course not, because it's back inside of there. Now, if I brought this down maybe a little bit, what you can look for, well, you're not even be able to see it, but the tack is leaking really bad. So if I can get in here, here's the tack cable, runs right through here, right along the oil filter. This wire right here is just not important for what we're talking about. I think that's the EGT probe wire right there. But way back down in there is quite the leak. So I have got to get, the only way I can get to it, because I can't see it either from this angle point, so I got to get that oil filter out of the way, and then we'll be able to see what we're doing. So I got this out, and I didn't actually show you working on it, getting it out, which is probably a good thing, because it was really, really tight. I had a 1/2-inch breaker bar with a bit of a cheater on there. Now, the thing about this is, and why was it so tight? Probably because a lot of people don't know this is left-hand thread. So maybe somebody tried to change the seal out before and was trying to unscrew it, which actually makes it tighter and tighter and tighter. So I was able to, I knew better, and by tightening it, I was able to loosen it. But check this out. I don't know if you can see it real well in there, but this is what you love to see. When you think you might have an oil leak and you get something like this out, there is absolutely no rubber seal left. This is what it should look like. It is completely and totally gone. So yes, I did find my oil leak, and all I have to do is swap out the seal and I should be good to go. But I'm going to show you right in here. I had to take out, as I told you, I had to take out the oil filter. I also had to get the starter out of the way to get down in there to work on that. So got it all out, looking good, put it back together, and I should be oil leak free. So it's back to work. All right, so I was showing you how you couldn't even see that seal. Well, I found it down inside the engine on the shaft. So that's what's left of the seal. So the way this seal actually works, see if I can pick it up here, is this side goes towards the oil pressure. This side goes away from the pressure, and that's a piece of rubber inside there. And there's a spring on there, and theoretically, any oil pressure that comes in this way is going to act on that seal. And if it was even all the way around, then what it would do is actually compress that seal against the shaft that's sealing. In this case, this right here, this is as hard as a steel washer. It's rubber. I cannot move it at all. It is very, very hard, and I suppose if I got a plier over here to do it, it would just break into a bunch of pieces. I do not, it's like it overheated at some point. So very interesting. I don't know why it would overheat it, but I'll lubricate the new one up. There's plenty of lubrication. We know that because it's leaking out all over the belly of the aircraft. But anyway, I'm very happy that I found the problem, and I can't wait to put it back in and see how it works. So back to work. Hey guys, so it's been a couple of days. When I last talked to you, we were working on an oil leak here, and I am so over the top happy that I found that oil leak. Like I said, it was really bugging me. It's awesome that it was something that was really easy and hopefully fixed by now. So as you can see, I've got the starter back on, torqued, the cable back on, torqued. I got the oil filter back on, torqued, safety. And really the only thing left to do now is to take it out and test run it and verify that I don't have a leak. And when I do that, I'm actually gonna leave the cowling off. Now I have to be careful when I do that, because what goes on here is a pressure cowling. And the air comes in the nose right here, and it's mostly from the forward movement of the aircraft, pressurizes the top of the cowling, forces the air down through the cylinders, and then there's a low pressure down here at the bottom, especially when the cowl flaps are open, which lets the air come out. Now, I want to run it and check for leaks, so I'm going to run it briefly without the cowling on. And you have to realize that what's going to happen is the air is really just going to swirl around over the top of the cylinders and not really give it a lot of cooling. So I want to keep my ground runs to a minimum. But I'm not going to take it out and run it today because we're still working on the wheels and brakes. So I'm still waiting for some parts to come in. But in a little bit, I'll be working on those. I'll make that part of another video. What am I going to do here? Pretty much done. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some of the things that I missed. I really focused in a lot on what I was doing, but there's a few interesting things that I'll show you. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about, well, I want to go back while the cowling is off and adjust that idle speed up just a tiny bit and give myself a half turn on the oil pressure. So that's it for now. Back to work.
Go.
All right, so to get the oil seal out, and a lot of times you're going to run into this problem with stuff like oil seals. We'll say, well, the tack housing is already in the airplane, but the oil seal is sitting in the tack housing, and sometimes there's no way to get to the back side. So obviously if it was a piece like this and you have the oil seal in here, you could just take a drift and put it in here and press it out or tap it right out. But if you have something that's holding you back from here, or maybe even a little hole right here, what you need is a blind hole puller. I use blind hole pullers a lot. So I'll zoom in over here, come over here. So what this tool does is it has a little BB down in there, and as I screw this together, there's a plunger that pushes on that BB and spreads these legs apart and will grasp something. So I just simply put that in my oil seal. I spread this apart, and then it locks into the oil seal, and I can either come from a hole like I did on the tack housing and tap it this way, and it taps this out. Actually, I have this all backwards. That's okay. Same concept. It'll tap this out, or I can use a slide hammer attachment that will go into here, and I can pull it out that way, or even I have a yoke setting right here where I can put this on and rotate it, and it'll pull it out. So that's how I got the tack seal out. Now to get the tack seal back in, you want to press it in. You don't really want to hammer on a seal, any kind of seals. I don't like hammering on them. I want to press them. Now the problem with pressing is that not a lot of us have access to a really nice press to do stuff. But what you usually have access to is a set of sockets. So the sockets are sometimes my best friend. I want a socket that'll fit right inside of here so that I'm not pressing on any of the rubber of the seal. And say I was going to press it into this. What you could do is you could get a very large vice grip will work. What I ended up using over here was my vise. I put the whole thing in the vise and just squeezed the vise together and brought my seal in. So sockets, sometimes your best friend. They have more uses than just taking nuts and bolts off. But that's how I got the tack seal in and out. And all that's left to do is, like I said, do the test run and make sure that it doesn't leak. And we are good to go. So that's it for this one. Talk to you guys later. All right, so there's my carburetor, and when I adjusted it last time, I really couldn't get down in here and show you what's going on. But what's going on is see this arm right here. This is my throttle arm. There's my throttle arm, and right here is my idle speed screw. So all that really does is it has a little. It just stops the throttle arm from closing too much. So it holds it open in the position that I want my idle speed to be. And back over here is my idle mixture. Sorry, this is the mixture. Idle mixture is right here. I guess I got to pay attention to what I'm saying. So here's my idle mixture screw. My idle mixture is fine. I'm very happy with that. So, and I'm reasonably happy with my idle speed. It's just a little bit too slow, just a little bit. So all I really need to do to adjust that, and I just want to adjust it just a little bit more, maybe just an 1/8 of a turn right there is all I want to do, and I am happy and good to go. And now that I've got the cowling off, I can show you as we finish up some of these projects. Right there is my oil pressure adjustment. So you can see here's the lock nut right there, and this is the plunger. So I'm going to give it another 1/2 turn. So what I have to do is unlock this, screw that in 1/2 turn, lock the nut back down. I'm good to go. Dang airplane noise. Actually, I love the airplane noise. So there we go. I will do that and we'll be back. Okay, oil pressure's been adjusted 1/2 turn in. Now, you might be thinking, why was I not happy with it where it was before? Well, when I flew it back from Minnesota, it was still in the green, but on the lower side of the green. And, you know, honestly, that was probably very appropriate for where this airplane used to live. It gets cold there, I hear. I don't know. I don't live there. So here in California, I have to realize that a cold day flying for me on the ground is probably going to be 60 degrees. And so I'm flying in a much warmer environment. My oil is going to act a little bit different, even though I've got the oil cooler, and the oil cooler should be taking care of my temperature. It's still, I feel that the oil would then be a little bit, the oil pressure would be on a little bit on the low side. So I definitely want it on the higher side for me because of the warmer environment, the way my oil is going to act. So anyway, that's the whole point behind this. Like I said, all that's really left to do is take it out and run it, which I will do on a different day. So that is it for this video. Take care, guys.